Finally hydrating as frequently as I should be. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Um, yeah, welcome. Feel free to ask any questions. I'm a voice actress. My name's Noelle. Um, I also have a music channel that I started recently where I'm gonna be putting out my music. But right now, I just have me playing acoustic guitar every now and then and singing other songs and messing around. But yeah, feel free to check it out. I decided to redo recently um, this song I did when I think I did a mini cover of it um, when I first started this channel, um, where I wanted to do War of Hearts by Rule. And then I realized as I posted the video, I was like, there's like a 1 second delay in the audio. And I was like, I should repost it. I was like, no, it's fine. I'll just have to live with that. But yeah, I hope you all are having a good day. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Ideally about voice acting, but any questions, as long as they're respectful. Recently in singing, I've been working on belting a little bit, which is like really tricky. Because initially I thought like, oh, maybe it's just like forward tone placement, and then I realized it's like it borders on like yelling a little bit. And so yeah, I've been like practicing that every now and then. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to pace myself on how much I practice this. So I don't just go like, ah, and I like hurt my throat. uh, but yeah. Singing, I've said this before, like singing and voice acting, interestingly enough, kind of go hand in hand a little bit. I think when you learn about tone placement and resonation in singing, I think that helps you to kind of like get a good scope of like your voice and what kinds of voices you can do in voice acting. And then vice versa, where I feel like because I did voice acting more before I started to learn how to like sing more professionally, I think that when I went into singing, I was like, oh, this makes sense because this is kind of like the same as when I do like this voice or that voice, and it's kind of interesting. But yeah, let's see. You liked and subbed. Thank you. I get this question a lot. I feel like at this point, I mean, there's like it's like this, and then people saying I look like Velma from Scooby Doo. Let's see. And yeah, I'll do my best to monitor the chat. But welcome any of you who are like just joining the stream. I've never been on this channel. I'm a voice actress. I voice memes on my free time, but also projects. For sure, for sure. Just gonna sit here. Good morning. How are you? I'm doing well. It's been a busy week. Um, I'm trying to like give myself a sort of like schedule in terms of being productive, where I'm like, okay, I should try and like draw and write and audition at least once or twice a week. Um, just because I want to keep like all those skills fresh. And I basically just sing and play music every day. But yeah, how do you do? I I am doing well, but yeah, it's been nice recently. My older brother, me and my boyfriend, got him to watch Free Run. We've been having him watch Free Run and Solo Leveling, which, in my opinion, are both great shows. Um, it's kind of interesting too, because again, I've said this before, but I think like every time I watch an anime or even rewatch an anime, I'm like, oh, it's kind of like a nice little art study because I can notice certain things where I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that before, and this is something that could like be helpful to my art style, especially with things like proportions and poses and angles. Um, but yeah, did you eat today? I did eat today. I mean, I ate like breadsticks that I saved from yesterday. Does that count? Let's see. But yeah. What is this comment? Caterpillars are pretty cool. Are you a voice actor? Yes, I am. I can do all the silly voices and all the cool voices too. I say all, but it's like whatever I'm capable of within my range right now. My favorite voices are like really small voices and then like really deep voices. Just because they're so different. But yeah. Have you ever seen I don't think I have. Do a Squidward impression. I don't think I could do a Squidward impression. That's like too iconic. Do I have a good career? I mean, yeah. I mean, I like the projects I'm in. I like the projects that even auditioning is like fun for me. Though sometimes I just get busy and then I'm like, audition more. Um, it's the Velma comments again. um, anyways, but yeah, I think that like I'm not in anything super big as of yet, but of course I want to be in like something iconic someday. That'd be cool. Like I don't know, just like an anime that would be like amazing. Um, especially like a really well written one. But ultimately, I just like voicing different kinds of characters. That's the appeal to me in voice acting. Even if it's like smaller projects, which is most of the projects I do, where it's just like indie projects, whether it's something more serious, more comedic. I just like how much I get to really try to play different characters and work on things like my inflection and just kind of even figuring out like some of that more like I think like cartoonish style of voice acting and then adding like a certain unique flair to it. And then just things where it's like trying to like be more conversational. I think especially conversational voice acting is kind of tough sometimes, but I really like working on that especially because I think that it's there's so much subtlety you can put into those kinds of scenes, but it's definitely an area I like to work on for sure. No, I don't I don't get a call back for sure. I'm not I don't think many um or oh wait, are you asking if I don't know why. I was thinking of like oh, well, I guess like sometimes you get callbacks if it's like you're doing that's more of a like theater and film thing, I feel like. I think that like but I think I don't know why I thought you were asking like if people like reach out to me sometimes like I just have a million people reaching out. I don't think that's anyone's voice acting experience entirely. Though sometimes I do see people uh who have their own like channels or something or make their own indie projects and they'll like reach out to me and then they'll be like, "Hey, like I saw your demo reel or I saw your channel. I'm curious if you'd be interested in this role and everything." So maybe in that case I do. Uh but I'm not really in a place where it's like I just don't have to audition for projects ever. Like that's not I don't think that's a lot of people's experience. Um but yeah, I think like except I will say this, like though I don't know if anyone's in this chat who's looking for a voice actress, but if you like message me on like a social media, I'm like super cautious sometimes about stuff like that. And so like it's probably best to be like, "Hey, I'm like this person, I have this project. I was wondering if you'd be interested in doing this project and everything." Because like in terms of like when I just get like a message that just says, "Hello, how are you?" I'm like, I don't know who this is, and this seems sketch. um, so yeah, I should probably just clarify that. I don't think I've played much GTA, if I'm being honest. Currently, in general, I probably need to play more games, and then I just need to try and get through the ones um, that I'm streaming. Well, primarily right now I'm streaming Armored Core mostly, but I think I'm like literally in the last stretch of Armored Core, but for some reason that boss fight I'm stuck on recently. I'm just stuck on. And maybe it's a consistency thing where it's only that way because I'm not trying that out consistently enough and I just need to try and stream more frequently playing Armored Core, but who can say? But yeah. In general, I don't know if like RPing is as much my thing. Well, if I play like a tabletop game, like D&D or something even. I think it's like definitely fun when you're like with a group who's more into like the RPing aspect of D&D. I feel like weirdly enough, unless I know certain people super well and have thought out ahead of time like what kind of character I want to play, I don't know if I'm like as good at that aspect of D&D, honestly. But yeah, that that definitely I think is an area to work on for sure. But yeah. Just waiting for more questions. Because I shouldn't wear out my voice. I shouldn't just like talk to myself. But yeah. I'm glad I got speakers for my computer recently. Because that was kind of like difficult not having any. But yeah. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I now have a new microphone stand, which is nice. I've just been figuring out like how to like use that well because I think like sometimes I either like put it too high or I put it too low. And then the audio sounds weird and I'm like, what did I do? So yeah, that's been interesting. Just like working that out, but yeah, for sure. I think it's been nice too because I've been working on more just like how to get a good sound quality from singing audio, which I didn't necessarily think about as much before. Um, and then I'll probably try to like mess around with FL Studio a little bit just to see how that goes. But yeah. Hello, welcome to the stream. I'm just sitting here drinking water. Um, but feel free to ask any questions. Okay, so earlier I mentioned how I had like breadsticks, and like every time I'm drinking from this water bottle, I'm like low key kind of smelling just like the leftover like breadstick like pizza scent in my breath. So that's kind of unfortunate. Let's see. What's your favorite genre of music? I have a lot. Um, I mean, I really like rock, but I think even that kind of like varies on like the style and the artists. Um, I really like Starset, just like that kind of techno rock. I think there's something about it that feels very 2010s to me, like early 2010s that I kind of like. Um, I really like soundtrack music. My favorite composer of all time is probably Yuki Kajiura, who wrote the soundtrack for Sword Art Online and Madoka Magica, um, and basically just like a ton of fantasy animes. Um, yeah, she's really good. She's got a really unique style. She like made up her own language for some of her music, but also has this very kind of like Celtic inspired feel a little bit. Though also with like a little mixture of rock sometimes. And then Hiroyuki Sawano is also a composer I really like. But yeah. And then I really like alternative cinematic music. I think that that's something where I don't know, I just like how it sounds, and I've been delving a little more into that when I'm writing music, trying to think about how to get that like epic sound both from my vocals and also like what chords I use and whatnot. But yeah, it's pretty difficult for sure. Uh, but I hope to get better at that. I hope to learn how to be more versatile in different styles of music. And I think that overall, I think it's also interesting because with alternative cinematic and thinking about it, and like some of the songs I've written that align maybe more with that genre are like kind of more personal. But that's the thing because sometimes I'm like, should it fit more of like a story thematically that doesn't always have to be like applicable to you? Because essentially it's kind of this music that's generic in the sense of being written for like movies, especially things like fantasy and science fiction. And so I'm like, maybe I need to take that approach because one song I wrote a long time ago, I think was like that, but I was like, this this song turned out so mediocre in my mind. And so I'm like, maybe I just need to like mix the two, like have a specific like theme or story or dynamic in mind that I write a song about if it's an alternative cinematic song. But yeah, I hope that learning how to do all that goes well for you. It's always really impressive when someone's good at singing and songwriting. I think, I mean, I'm gonna release this year, ideally within the next couple of months, the first song that my friend helped me produce that I wrote, but like my friend has all of the technical skills that I lack. I'm hoping to pick up on some of that too. But yeah, that's gonna be really interesting um, to see what you guys think. Because yeah, that song is more within the genre of rock, and that yeah, like it's pertaining more to very, I think, specific feeling within my life, and yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I think in general, most music is like personal. But again, if it's leaning more towards soundtrack, you want to find that balance of like it being personal and also fitting something thematically. But with rock, you can pretty much just write like something personal, which is kind of nice. What's your favorite band? Well, again, my favorite rock band is Starset. I think that I really think it's interesting too how like all of the music except for maybe the most recent album is like space themed because that's kind of cool. It definitely adds to like the vibe. And what I also like is they have like these like instrumental interludes in between each song or like at the end of the songs or at the beginning of the songs. My boyfriend Juan doesn't like that because he's like, you think the song's ended and it hasn't ended. And I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like it. Like, I like hearing some of that like orchestral type stuff in between, like, especially with like cello and whatnot. Um, but yeah, cello's an instrument I'm a little envious of, but also is like difficult to play because like conceptually, since I play violin, I and since like one of my friends and coworkers taught me. I understand how it works and I can sight read for the bass clef, but you have to like kind of shift your whole hand for cello, and I'm like, that would drive me absolutely insane. Because with violin, like, of course you have to like shift, but it's not, I don't know. Like, it's much easier in my mind. Like, it's such a big gap with where you shift and how you shift in cello. And then guitar, I'd say, is easier than both of those because you have frets. And so, yeah, it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I'd also think I'd need to work on like my finger strength because cello strings are a lot thicker than violin strings. But yeah. Also, welcome to the stream for any of you just joining. Let's see. Someone says in the comments, oh wow, this is both sad, but at the same time, I'm like, I think every person who plays an instrument is a little bit like, my instrument is my life. Like, I definitely feel that way a little bit with like, but I wouldn't, if it was like between like, there's like a fire and like, save either my electric guitar or save Juan, I'm like, I mean, obviously I would save Juan. Like, it, but what would actually happen is I think I'd save Juan, and then Juan would be like, "Why didn't you save your electric guitar?" Because he's kind of like that sometimes in the sweetest way, where he's like, "Don't worry about me, just do the thing." It's very sweet, but also I'm like, of course I'll. I'd prioritize my boyfriend, but yeah. Is cello more like bass in sound? It has that deep, resonating sound. I assume you're talking about like upright bass. Uh, they have different strings. I, huh. I'm actually thinking about if I even know this now, because I know cello, the strings are C, G, D, A. I know bass guitar strings because it's just the lowest strings on guitar at a lower octave, so it's E, A, D, G. I would assume it's the same on like an upright bass, but maybe I'm wrong. That's an interesting question though. I never thought about that. But yeah, they're both definitely the in an orchestra and the array of like string instruments, which is like violin, viola, uh, bass and cello. Bass and cello are very much like, if in singing, like altos kind of create this almost like harmony a lot of the time that's like lower. That's kind of the role of a lot of like bass and cello and orchestras. But depends what songs highlight what. Because like for example, I think of like Hans Zimmer as a composer, and I think he's someone who really likes to highlight all of his instruments within certain songs. Like I think in Dune, a lot of more bassy kind of instruments like the upright bass and like cello stand out a lot more than maybe some other like classical songs. But there's not really necessarily a 100% like, I guess, answer for that because it just depends on who's writing the song and maybe what instruments they like to hear as like the most prominent. Um, they make beautiful music. Yes, they do. I agree. Um, and yeah, I think like it's interesting because, well, yeah, because I think like with violin in general, I think I associate a lot of soundtracks with how violin is used, where it's almost for somewhat this like romantic or even like sad kind of vibe. And then I think for things like cello can also be sad. I think cello also has this sort of like epic sound to it. Um, what I really like about Yuki Kashiura's music um, is I think she highlights a lot of harp and piano. And piano might be her primary instrument, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, she highlights like a lot of harp, a lot of piano, and a lot of the vocals are very like have this like classical style that's built on like these really like beautiful harmonies that I really like. But yeah. Good morning. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, that's my rant on that. It's great with Celtic music, I think. I agree. I love Celtic music too. Um, I've definitely tried singing a lot of it over the course of my life. And I think at some point I actually should invest time in maybe learning a little bit more about like the actual function of like the Gaelic language. Because like a lot of the time when you're singing, you can kind of get the feel of just like how to sing in a different language by just like listening really intently and also looking at the lyrics and everything. But to get like an actually like really well done pronunciation, I think that's why it's so helpful to have like vocal teachers who are familiar with other languages. And then just also maybe looking into like some of those phonetic alphabets for yourself. Like, because I'm probably a little more classically trained, but I think it's interesting because I remember when I first started like taking lessons, I was singing like some songs from operas in Italian. And Italian is again like a language where it's like it looks a certain way and it's one of the like romance languages, so in some ways it's easier, but there's still some stuff where it's like it's pronounced differently from how it looks a little bit. But yeah. So that's kind of like the idea with that. But yeah. Anyways, I've been ranting. And yeah, you guys are free to ask any questions you have, whether it be about voice acting or singing. But yeah, or just even like, yeah, random questions. I'm just gonna wait. I'll wait. I'm being way too silly today. The other day I was just like sitting in my car and I got this like sudden random urge where I was like, what if I just tried to like just do like a poorly silly rendition of like trying to like recreate one of the songs from Tron Legacy with like my overlapping vocals. And obviously it didn't work because you can only do like so much. And also at the same time when you're like recording sometimes and you're like doing the overlapping thing. It depends what like app you're on, but you can't like hear yourself. So like I was just it was like delayed by 1 second. Maybe that's the real thing I need to work on a little bit. Because again, like I recently released like me trying out a song I hadn't tried for a long time. And then when I was just like making sure like everything was like okay with like the footage and the audio and everything, which I also remember need to remember to like back up whenever I'm gonna like belt or something for my mic. But when I was like going over that, I was like, this was like pretty good. And then the audio was just a little bit delayed from the footage. I was like, no. But yeah, so that's a me problem. That's a me issue. But yeah, I plan to work on that more. I think it comes down to just not needing to rush everything all the time. But yeah. I didn't even realize how early in the morning it was. I don't know. It's probably because usually I wake up like a little bit later, but yeah, it's interesting. I really need to get my sleep schedule in check. I think it's just like stay up till 2 a.m., wake up at 7 a.m. for no reason. And that's probably not good. But yeah. Cat? Meow. She's so strange because she definitely has food. But sometimes cats are like that though. Like sometimes they just want like the love and affection. Well, I say that, but I think like cats really kind of just want like attention for the most part. My brother's cat is like I think like has major mood swings. Like there's something about that cat where it's like 1 second she'll be like, "Oh, can you give me like pets and everything?" And then you go up and she's like, "Ah." But yeah, in general that just might be the demeanor of a lot of cats. I question every day like what the purpose of hamsters is. Like they don't seem to be like it's even amazing to me in my head that like hamsters even can survive past like 1 year because they just seem so not durable. I'm not really sure what they do. I don't really know where hamsters are like found in the wild. So that's like one of probably the most interesting animals out there because it's like hamsters are just this creature that exists and yet they do like basically nothing and they don't have like a very like high endurance it seems but yeah Survive. I mean, I guess that's what they do, like, hamsters just survive. It seems, like, difficult for them too. Like, I don't even know what they do. That's just something I think about every now and then, you know? I'll probably always, like, think about that a little bit to an extent. I don't think there's, like, entirely knowable answer to the lives of hamsters, but yeah. They're comedic creatures, if not competent ones. A truer statement has never been said, for sure. Yeah, this is a big jug of water. I need to hydrate because I don't do that enough. And I'm like, that's probably not good because I sing and voice act. The two things where you should probably drink a lot of water if you're gonna like do that as a career. But yeah, it's just regular water. Cucumber water is like pretty good though. I think like sparkling water is good, but also there was a point in my life where I think I was like just drinking way too much sparkling water. I was like, I could just probably be drinking normal water. But yeah, is this chat about the hamster afterlife? I mean, this is a voice acting channel, but I I'll do my best to answer any questions about hamsters. How many hours do I do voice acting daily? It depends on the day. It depends on the project. Um, I try to always keep it fresh a little bit, even if I'm not recording that day. But it depends. If it's like a skit, for example, I think recording lines for a skit maybe takes like a good 2 hours. Um, maybe even like one. But if it's something where someone is making like an audio drama or a more lengthy kind of animated thing, that's probably something where it could be like a good 3 hours, except maybe I have to really like pace myself throughout the week so I just don't wear out my voice. But yeah, thank you for the gift. Let's see. I feel like I'm missing comments. Oh, there we go. Yeah, hamsters have like the craziest stories, honestly. Like, let's see. Hamster afterlife, the big running wheel in the sky. Like the sun? They just do hamsters even like their wheel? I mean, I imagine they like their wheels. It's probably like some kind of form of like entertainment for them. But they also seem really confused by them. But yeah. I remember once when I was younger, I asked my brother, I was like, "Does Mars even have a sun?" And he was like, "Yes, the same sun that you know very well." And I was like, "I do?" And then he's like, "We have the same sun as Mars." And I that was like the dumbest I ever felt as a kid. Let's see. Watching YouTube Live is basically the human hamster wheel. I mean, you said it, not me. Um, Hamsters are stuck in a tiny cage. I would want to pretend to run away on a wheel too. Oh my gosh. It's so sad. I mean, yeah, they don't have a whole lot to do. I like how this is what this stream has turned into. Like someone's gonna like watch this stream later and be like, "Oh, voice actress Q&A. Are they talking about voice acting?" And it's like, "No, we're talking about hamsters." But yeah, I don't know why I keep closing this because it's like I just end up drinking more water. I'll just wait for more questions because that seems like the most productive thing to do at this point. I say that and I might just be like sitting here for like 2 minutes, just questionless, just on my own. Give us your favorite voice acting you can do. Well, I do like doing, as I mentioned earlier, deep voices and small voices.
I kind of like doing this one because it's like really goofy and like kind of nasally and it sounds weird, but it's like really silly.
But yeah, that's like one of my favorites. Have you ever overworked, like temporarily lost your voice? That happened last year. That was my fault. And that was tough because I did not know as much about singing as I do now because I was like streaming every other day and voice acting every day and singing every day and talking every day. And I just wore out my voice. Um, and it's been a long process, I think, like recovering from that. Um, it's much better now for sure, but yeah. Um, that's why it's important. And oh yeah, and I wasn't drinking enough water. That's why it's important to pace yourself and take care of your voice. Uh, but yeah, let's see. You give hamsters a wheel, so they spend all their time trying to escape than actually escaping. That's another reason why some people like I can't imagine like I don't know if your hamster gets out of the cage. That would be like kind of difficult, I imagine, to find. But yeah, water is good. What would you suggest to aspiring voice actors? Like what they shouldn't do? I'm gonna be honest. I don't think entirely there's one right way to do voice acting. I'd say in terms of doing certain voices, try to work on just like learning breath control and learning about like tone placement and everything. Um, and maybe don't try too much to do voices that are like incredibly taxing on your throat. Um, because like if you get in a project and it's like something where you have to be recording for like 2 hours, that can be really difficult. Um, in terms of pursuing voice acting, I would say the consistency of auditioning is important. I would say that if you are doing like a live audition, let's say you're doing something like a monologue or whatnot, um, it's okay if like you mess up. Just try and like really push forward as much as you can without like backtracking too much on what you get wrong because it's usually better to just kind of if you're someone where it's like you just have to like you're auditioning and maybe you mess up once or something you want to even like try and complete the line before you like try to like do that line again but maybe just don't do that like a million times, even if you miss one word or something. Like, just still go for it because it's ultimately about like them seeing like what you sound like, what voices you can do, things like how good your inflection is, how good you are at, um, I think, emulating certain emotions within your voice. Uh, so I guess it comes down to just don't overthink it. Um, but yeah, and also have like some trust in yourself. But yeah, let's see. Is a motorcycle a car with two wheels, or is a car a motorcycle with four wheels? That's a good question. I don't think I would know though. If there's like any engineers in the chat, what do you guys think? I guess I would think hypothetically cars came first. Wait, okay, I think cars were definitely built before motorcycles. Um, am I just wrong about that? No, I think I'm right. uh, so I guess a motorcycle would be a car with two wheels. But yeah, that's like saying an airplane is a submarine. Yeah, pretty different builds and functions for sure. But yeah, thank you for the gift. Yeah, I don't know much about that. I mean, obviously, I would imagine cars have a bigger engine than motorcycles, or engines in motorcycles are just built with a different structure because of like the frame. But yeah, that's interesting. I'll think about that. Let's see. Could you please tell me how auditions are held? Like, is it a blind audition where they describe the character and you make a voice on assumption, or do they play recordings of the original voice in anime? I haven't really gotten to do any, like, again, because most of the studios are like in California, any like high end like anime auditioning yet. What I have gotten to do is auditioning for some things like animation and video games um and audio dramas within the more indie animation world. So my understanding of if you're auditioning in an anime studio is I imagine sometimes they do have you try to match the lip flaps, and they'll just have some footage. Uh, I well, and then they have like the beeps before you, so you get an idea of when to start matching the lip flaps. Maybe some people, depending on the shows and depending on the studio, do just show you pictures of the character with your script. And that's more how I think I'm typically used to auditioning. Though it depends because sometimes if you're auditioning, for example, for like Cal Arts like art projects, sometimes it'll be for like an animation project for their class, and they'll be like, just so you know, like just so you have like context of like what's playing out in this scene and what that looks like. This is like the footage of the animation that I have so far for this project. And it really does help. It gives you a better sense of like, because hypothetically, it could say like, oh, like you, like this person throws a punch or something and misses. And they're like, how is this person like so fast and everything when they like dodge or something? But you could watch like the animation and then maybe it's like something where it's like And then this person just like goes behind that person and like punches them and everything. And then that changes the context completely for like how you're gonna like voice act that a little bit, because maybe there's gonna be like a hint of like pain in your voice or something. Um, or maybe like this is like, again, like context is a pretty big thing. You won't get like all of it in an audition for a story, but it's good to have some of it, and I think an animated visual helps with that. But sometimes in most of the auditions I've done is you just get like the visual of the character, and you get some lines, and you get some descriptions of what are sort of the core traits of this character, and maybe certain like references to look into or look up if someone's like, I imagine them having a similar tone of voice to this kind of character or something, or this kind of person. Um, and that's always helpful too. Uh, but ultimately, you can always kind of try your lines a couple of different ways. Like, and you do want to do that. You want to show that you have versatility, and you want to show what makes your voice unique. Um, like I remember, for example, I like did an audition. Um, I didn't end up getting in, but it was on Casting Call Club, and sometimes they'll let you know if you're shortlisted, which means you're in like the top few people maybe being considered for that, once all of the auditions have been reviewed. And I remember I auditioned once, and it was like a character yelling at like someone who was apparently just like on the road or something, and they were making a like bad driving decision or something, or maybe they're like crossing the street when they weren't supposed to or something in this project. Um, and I think the line was something like get off the road and everything and whatnot. And I was like, I could, so I put in a take where I'm like, this is just like your average kind of like, just, hey, like, don't do that kind of. And then one, I tried to add a more like comedic kind of just like super intense, like, get off the road, like kind of yelling. But stuff like that is good because it overall just makes you kind of memorable in some way. Let's see. Can I get your honest opinion on which photo you would pick Elion Pastel? Like for an acting headshot? I'm not a photographer, so I'm not like, I don't know much about stuff like that. Um, my friend who though has done a lot of pictures of myself, she's a photographer. She's really good. Um, she took the pictures for um what's gonna be my album cover. If you go to my singing channel, you'll see the pictures that she took for the process of the photos for that album cover. But I haven't released yet the photo that's going to be the album cover. Um, because you kind of have to like look through all of them and like pick and choose and be like, this one looks good. And then like maybe not this one, but yeah. Oh, a profile picture? Know much about that either because it kind of depends like what your channel's about. Like my profile picture is really unique, and I love it. My older brother, in general, drew my channel art for this channel. He drew my profile picture for this channel, uh, based off of one of my actors' headshots. And I remember seeing it too. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks great. Only problem, I look more beautiful in this drawing than I actually do in real life. And then he was very kind. He's like, no, that's not true. But I think if anything, that's a testament to his like art skills. Cause yeah, he's a really great artist. But yeah. Um, I mean, I wouldn't know. Whatever picture speaks to you the most for your profile picture. I guess usually for most people, like if your channel's not necessarily about a certain thing, maybe some people just like to have like a picture of themselves. But yeah, that's all the advice I can give because again, like both my channels are themed to a certain thing. Like one is a music channel, one is a voice acting channel. But yeah. Let's see. Um, Also, sorry, I know this is like a slight detour usually within the streams. And it's not my favorite thing to do, but still, I know like I have to do it because I, yeah, both for you guys to enjoy the chat, and also just because it's not like very polite. Um, Try not to leave creepy comments in lives. Uh, because yeah, even if it's like somewhat well intentioned, like I don't know you guys. I don't know your intentions. Um, so yeah, just do your best to be respectful. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Bro says hello, like he hasn't been this stream the whole time. Hello, welcome to the stream. Oh man. I also don't know if it's intentional or if it's like accidentally, but like just so you know, I'm gonna like tell you in case it's like intentional or not. You keep kind of like retracting your messages in the chat. I don't know what's going on there. But yeah. I don't know why. I guess I'm thinking about this. Let's see. Oh, wait, I'll answer this question first. What's something you've played slash voiced which felt most difficult? Well, again, I think working on being conversational in a not comedic way can be kind of tricky. Um, so maybe like the couple of times I've done some audio dramas, but I think that recently I've been this project called Plague of Crowns. It's an animated project. If you want to check out some of my work in that, there's a storyboard of my character, Princess Merope, who's like super cool, um, fighting like this like locust type monster. Um, and it's it's like mostly yelling in that one. And I loved just like committing to those yells and being like super intense, like just super into it. But also, I had to record maybe like a couple of yells every 2 days because my voice was still recovering. Um, but also, you want to pace yourself, especially with yelling. But yeah. So that was like kind of tricky. Not necessarily because it's weirdly enough, I think yells probably are a little bit um something that's easier for me to do, but you still have to pace yourself with that just so you don't wear out your voice. It's it's happening again. Everyone thinks I look like Velma from Scooby Doo. Every stream. Every stream. Oh, oh boy. But yeah. So yeah, if that answers your question, probably the audio dramas I've been in, just because it's more conversational exposition. Um, on top of that too, especially if, because sometimes you'll get into a project and they'll be like, oh, like I like need some background characters. Can you also voice this background character? And then if it happens to be in the same scene as your character, it's like I gotta come up with a different voice that maybe still sounds conversational, but just like completely different from whatever voice I gave this character. Um, so that's interesting. Uh, but yeah, yeah. Oh, you asked a question about what are some of my favorite voices to do? Sorry, I like just missed that, and now it's retracted. I'll still answer that if you want, but let me know if that's a question you're still wondering. Uh, but yeah, that's a summary of that, basically. But yeah, it's interesting. What's your most favorite character you played? I mean, probably Princess Merope in Plague of Crowns so far. Um, that project is really fun. Uh, I hope I'm funny. Sometimes I think I make myself laugh, and I'm like, maybe that's what matters at the end of the day. But maybe that's not entertaining to other people. Um, anyways, sorry. My favorite character I played probably is Princess Merope. Uh, I also liked, I got to do some like promotional stuff for this web comic called Anamnesis, where I played a character named Chloe. There's also some videos of that if you check out the playlist called Projects I'm in on this channel. Uh, and I Yeah, like I think it was fun kind of playing that character who's like a little more like older sister-ish because like vocally, I think my natural voice leans more towards that. And then like in real life, I'm a middle child, which is interesting. Uh, because I have like an older sister. But I'm also an older sister, but it's not like even a like I'm way older, like, and I also feel like I myself sometimes am like kind of silly and immature. Um, So playing a character who's like a little more responsible, but also kind of funny in some ways, in that more sort of like frustrated sometimes mentality of just trying to get everyone to work together. Um, but also, yeah, just some other things there. I think it's interesting. And I also really liked that I got to record with like everyone present over a call because it just resulted in some really funny moments where we were like all recording together. And sometimes there was a delay, and I'd say like a line too early, and they're like, wait, we're not there yet. And like we just all like had fun. And like I think in general, working with everyone in that project, I was like, yeah, that was actually really fun. Um, but yeah. And then this is more like a skit territory type thing. Um, but there's the video game Warframe, and it was actually kind of cool because my boyfriend like made these like Warframe skits. And one of the people who like works on that game actually like acknowledged it and said it was like really funny and good voice acting and everything. But my boyfriend made these series of skits from some of Warframe, where since within the lore, the Tenno that you play as are actually like teenagers in a way, or like children who are like have inhabit the forms of like the Tenno and everything. Uh we did like this little series of like what if the Tenno, like, because they don't like talk that much, but what if they're just like secretly just like acting like teenagers all the time on like every mission. And that was just really fun hearing like everyone's like lines and everything, and some of them just did like so good it resulted in like some really funny stuff. So I liked being in that too. That was some skit type projects. But yeah, let's see. I mean, I'm gonna assume like both of these are music artists because I've only heard of like one of them. I think I tend to like listen again to more. I mean, I listen to a lot of different kinds of music. I think I like electronic, rock, and soundtrack music, and alternative cinematic music if I could think of like all the types of music I like. But yeah. Also, hello to whoever just entered the chat. Welcome to the stream. I'm probably gonna end this stream in a bit. But yeah, feel free to hang out until then. Um, any other questions? No, I know. It's sad. Do you think sour food can affect our voice, like a sore throat, etc.? Well, I think in general, some foods, I mean, not forever, but I think there's certain things where, so for example, I think I kind of prefer to try for the most part and eat warmer foods because actually, interesting fact, things like hot water is actually better for your voice than cold water, even. Not that cold water's like horrible. Maybe don't always have like some like, I don't know, just like super cold water. And try maybe even just drinking like either just straight up like hot water or some tea. Tea with honey is also nice. Um, but with foods, I try, and I think like tomato sauce actually, since it's more acidic, isn't always like the best for your voice if like you feel like you have a sore throat. Um, but I think things like soup, for example, are kind of nice. And again, in general, um, now I just kind of try to mostly stick with like warmer foods sometimes whether that's meat or soup. Just because again, it's warm. There's like the steam, and I think it's overall healthier. Um, Same with like drinks too. Like usually caffeine isn't super great for your voice. You can have like coffee every now and then, but maybe just don't do that like right before a session of like voice acting or singing. But yeah, what's your favorite food of all time? I literally just said not anything with like tomato sauce, and now I'm like, I'm about to be like, pepperoni pizza. Maybe that's actually changed over the years now. I kind of like cheeseburgers a little more, if I'm being, probably because it doesn't have like tomato sauce in it. Um, but okay, well, that's actually difficult. Bacon cheeseburgers are really good. Oh yeah, gargling hot salt water is good. Like just put some salt in some hot water and gargle the salt water. That helps your throat. That's actually something I need to do more often. Let's see. Once I had too much of a cold drink and I lost my voice for a day or so, so warm food is best. Yeah, I think that cold drinks kind of like create this like tension almost. So yeah, I think like drinking hot water, drinking hot tea, um, even just like breathing in the steam from hot water, which is like funny because some people will get even something like, like the machinery, like the like steam, why am I forgetting what they're called? The like steamers. Um, I think also sometimes you can just like I don't know, sometimes when I drink hot water, if I'm waiting for it to cool down, I'll just like breathe in like the steam, which looks kind of funny, but it actually kind of helps my throat a lot. So yeah. It also makes me feel mysterious. All right, I'm gonna say about 3 minutes left before I enter or end this stream. So quick, ask questions, ask questions. Let's see. Uh, let's see. Do you ever regret voice acting as a career? What are people's reaction when you tell them you're a voice actor? That's actually a very honest question, and I appreciate it. Um, so I don't regret voice acting as a career. I love it so much, and I think it is a career where you really do have to love it. You have to love what you're doing because it is something where at this point in time it's just not the highest paying form of acting. Like I believe you can always try and find ways to make that work. Like that's one of the reasons I have this channel because I love voice acting. And like even just putting my voice out there and doing like silly things. That's kind of the nice thing about having this channel. Uh Again. But yeah, it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of effort, but I don't regret it. Um when I tell other people that I do voice acting, I think some of the people I know who are more into like more artistic fields whether it's music or acting or writing or art or whatnot. I think they do kind of understand that passion, even if it's not necessarily a career path they're entirely familiar with it. Sometimes talking to other people who don't really know a whole lot about that and whatnot, and maybe don't even like process necessarily that it's like, oh yeah, this is a career because this is how we get voices in radio and video games and commercials and cartoons and anime. Sometimes they just don't necessarily process that, and sometimes you will seem like a weirdo to those people because they're like, "Why do you just, like, talk to yourself in voices in a microphone in your room all the time?" Um, but I would say to try and have some grace for people who think like that. There is an element to the arts in general where you just have to overcome this feeling of, like, you have to it's easier said than done. You really do have to try to just not care as much about people judging you for doing something that is seemingly silly to them in your career, and just kind of embrace that you have a love for that, and just don't let that deter you if some people could either, like, put you down for that because in general in the arts, like, I would say that to everyone, like, just don't let other people, like, in their impression of, like, this artistic thing is, like, weird because that's not something that they do, or even if it's something they do, like, have experience in. I just think everyone can get better at a skill they work at. I do truly, like, 100% believe that. Uh Don't let that deter you from pursuing voice acting or drawing or writing or singing. Like, yeah. So that's what I would say to that. That was that was kind of a long-winded, passionate answer. But it's true. I think like if you're gonna do a career, like do maybe you'll have to do like jobs that aren't like your favorite along the way. Like, you know, like but I do think that if there is like a career in the arts that you're striving towards, just like keep going for that. But yeah. Um, well, I think that's gonna be it for today. But yeah, I hope you all have a good day. I hope you have a good week. Oh my gosh, you just entered the stream. I'm so sorry. It's like ending. But welcome to what's left of the stream. I'm a voice actress. My name is Noelle. Um, I'll try to be more frequent with my lives. Um, but yeah, uh, I would say, like, overall, yeah, if you're in the arts, just keep pursuing that. If you want to check out some of my voice acting work, um, if you want something funny, I have like memes on my channel that I just like voice over and make on my free time. Um, and if you want to see like works I've been in projects, I have a whole playlist on my channel called Projects I'm in, featuring myself. So, yeah, I hope you all have a good day and a good week, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.